Hi, in today's video I am sharing the 10 Kittydori Traveler's Notebook junk journals that will be in my Etsy shop this Thursday at February 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for this collection, I decided to do two sets. I did a set of 5 that are fully decorated, and then I did another set of 5 that are a little simpler. And I will walk through the differences between the two and just do a quick flip through of each one also. So let me make a little room here. And I guess first I should just start by comparing the differences. We're talking about the differences between the two. So they're very, very similar in that they have the same number of pages. There's about 88 pages, counting front and back in these. So they're very substantial journals. So that's the same. And the main differences are the simpler ones don't have any of the fabric or ribbon trims on them or any of the tabs. And I did not include any little paper craft embellishments like things that I've printed out and fussy cut. I realized that those two things, the trimming them out and choosing images and printing them and fussy cutting them, take the longest. Really decorating them really is what takes the longest in making these. So I thought I would try to do one that really wasn't too decorated and just kind of see how they do. It's kind of an experiment. I'll put both in my shop and just kind of see which ones sell first. And of course, I'm always open to feedback too. If you want to share which kind you like better. But yeah, so that's how I decided to do this. So I will start with the fully decorated one first. So all of them have a fabric tie made from vintage fabric. And if you go to my Instagram, you can see a video I made showing how I turned the sewing pattern envelopes into the covers for these journals. I use the actual vintage envelope and I turn them into a cover. And on my IGTV channel on Instagram, I show exactly how I do that. And so all of them were finished off with a little bit of washi tape and a little bit of decorating on the covers also. All of the journals have front and back doily pockets. So they're printed doilies from a shop on Etsy called Little Bindi. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. That's Johanna, Clough's. Sorry, Johanna. Her shop. And she has these awesome doilies and handkerchiefs as printables, and I made them into pockets. So you can store all of your ephemera, you could store your stickers or whatever you want to keep in your journal. So when you go to work on it, you have everything handy. So there's these nice pockets that'll hold that for you. So they all have a different paper collection. Actually, I think maybe 2 of the journals I used the same paper collection, but I have different paper collections in most of them. And my main inspiration for these was just color and flowers, just feeling like I need some color this time of year. And so that is what I used for the papers. And if you have any questions, I will try to, just let me know. I will try to leave details on the different scrapbook paper lines I used and the different shops that I used and got the printables from. So you'll see lots of little die cuts like this little guy, and he's from KB and Friends on Etsy. And I've got some printables from Amy J. Delightful, her shop on Etsy also. I've got a tuck spot here and a little glassine bag that is filled with some vintage ephemera and some little printable things that you could use to label your photos or your pages. Just a variety of small little pieces there for you. Just put those to the side here. And there's lots of little in addition to the vintage ledger paper that's in here, I have some vintage notebook paper in various spots that you can use to journal on. And this is some vintage, the top is a vintage embroidery trim on top of some ribbon. And this is also some embroidery trim. I think I'll just flip through and let you see. I love using these fun little clothing tags as a tab. So all the decorated ones have this little tab, little die cut, little pocket made from a label. This is a little button card that you can use as a journaling card. This is one of my favorite things to add to these journals, and I need to try to find some more. I am out of them now after this collection, but these are these fun trifold greeting cards, and I think they make really great journaling pages because there's so much space inside when you flip it out. It's just kind of fun to have little interactive elements in your journals. Journaling card and die cut from KB and Friends, little fabric tab. All of the decorated ones have a word flashcard, and there's a math flashcard in the other set of 5. This is also from KB and Friends. Really nice journaling paper. This is from Amy J. Delightful, one of her retro ladies, and a little printed tag. And I made this a little tuck spot here where this little measuring tape is. And then all the books have some little pattern directions that come inside the pattern envelopes as pages. Little post-it, little fabric, little tab there. And all of the fully decorated journals have a little pocket made from a vintage children's book, and then some notebook paper and a journaling card and a tab that I punched a word out with my vintage labeler that I love that has a cursive font wheel on it. They all have pom-pom trim. Here's a vintage Rolodex card and a little die cut. Little speech bubble, chenille tab, library card, bingo card and a journaling card, another die cut. It's a little journaling card. They all have little index card pockets that I trimmed out, and I like these because you can add a little word sticker here or a little phrase sticker. You could punch it if you have a labeler like this, or you could just use a word sticker that you have, or you could type something if you have a typewriter and just label that. I thought that would be fun. And then I made a bookmark out of a divider in my Better Homes and Gardens binder. I used a couple different binders for this. Each of the fully decorated notebooks have one of these in it. And it started out, the idea, because I had a scrap left over from another project, and it already had the little hole in it from where the pages are punched for the binder. And so it's a little offset because it was just trimmed off the bottom of the page. And I thought, instead of throwing that scrap out, I would use it and turn it into a little bookmark. So each book has a little piece of that binder divider turned into a bookmark in it. So yeah, like I said, there's 88 pages or so, front and back. And if you have any questions, let me know. So I think what I'll do is just share with you the one that's a little simpler, and then we can go back and do flip throughs of all of them. So this one, I did a little bit of decorating on the covers, just like all the others. And I'll just flip through the inside. So you can see there's no trims on this, but still there's lots of pages, total mix of vintage and new elements. And it has all the same ephemera for the most part. I think the fully decorated ones have 25 pieces of vintage ephemera in them, and these have 22 pieces of vintage ephemera. So here's your little bag of small ephemera. I love that little card. So a little button card from Amy J. Delightful. Pear tag. I did not have enough of those trifold greeting cards, so all of the simpler journals have vintage postcards in them. And this little post-it was turned into a pocket. I did give you one little printed image there. You could use as a little journaling card. And this page, all of the simpler journals have a page from the book called Make It book. It's a little craft book from the 60s, I believe, for children. It was made for children. And if you saw on my Instagram, I shared a video, or I think I just shared photos of it, but it's got really awesome graphics. And I did manage to get a second copy of that book. So now I can use that in my junk journals, which I really wanted to do because I love sharing all of my favorite book pages in the journals that I make. So I have one that I'm keeping for good, and then I have another one that I'm going to use for my journals. That one folds out. This one has a really neat like parchment envelope in it. And there's the math flash card with this one, and a Rolodex card, and a bingo card. This time card flips out. It's kind of fun. Little notebook page. And there's your pocket in the back. So the simpler journals are $59 and the fully decorated ones are $79. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that too. So I think what I will do now is just go through and just do a quick little flip through of each of the journals so you can get an idea of what the insides look like. I will have photos up in my Etsy shop, but the video lets you see really all the pages inside. So this is the front and back of this one. And this one has a fun little paper collection. I believe this is Photo Play paper. I need to double check that. I think this is Photo Play. I don't remember the name of the collection, but really pretty bright paper. I love, love, love this green vintage trim. And this is just new ribbon on top. And this is American Crafts. I found this at Hobby Lobby, and it is Paige Taylor Evans, and it coordinates with one of her scrap paper lines. And they also had some Maggie Holmes ribbons that coordinate with a few of her lines, and I think they had an Amy Tangerine ribbon, and I had never seen them before, and I think they may be discontinuing them only because I went to Hobby Lobby's website and they were in the clearance section, and I can't find them anywhere else online. So I think it might be exclusive to Hobby Lobby, but really gorgeous, like bright colors, and I thought that was really fun. So this card is a sympathy card, and I hesitated using it because it seems like that's kind of down. I like to think of my books as being happy and cheerful, but that's life, right? So you could always cover this up with like a label or some kind of sticker or something. So I will leave that up to the owner of the journal, but I thought the flowers on it were so pretty and went well with this journal. So I still wanted to make sure I used that. These post-it are so fun. I need to try to find more of those. They're a little bit hard to find. And there's the little retro lady for this journal. And Rick Rack is on all of them. I love the little cat page. I'm a cat lady. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about any of these. We have a lot to go through here, so I just want to kind of flip through and not do too much talking. Maybe eventually I will learn how to add music to videos, but as of right now, I don't know how to do that. So there's the front and back of this one. And this paper collection is Simple Stories I Am. I think that was out last year. This is another, this is one of the Maggie Holmes ribbons on top of that vintage green ribbon. I love these cards. Hoping I can find some more of those. This one I did not make into a little pocket because I actually did this one first and I stuck it down, and when I did the next one I had the idea to kind of make it like a little tuck spot. So this one, the retro lady is in the pocket in the back. And this one opens up that way. Love this, the illustrations from this book. And this guy, he got a little extra trim here because the page just wasn't even. So, and it was a scrap I had left over from another project, and I wanted to reuse it anyway. Little journaling spots, and then the bookmark for this one. And you can move that around and use it in your journal. It's not just decorative. So we got the front and the back of this one. And this paper is, this matches the ribbon that I was telling you about that American Crafts makes. And this is a line collection from Paige Taylor Evans. I don't have the name of it on the paper that I bought. It just said Paige Taylor Evans at the bottom. It didn't have the name of the collection. And I know this was from last year, so I apologize. I don't know the name of that collection, but really pretty bright colors in that collection. And that is what I wanted to do with these journals. And I don't think they just have to be for spring or summer, but they definitely sort of have that vibe. But they are definitely bright and hopefully cheerful. Little bunnies. Chenille tabs. So all of the decorated ones have a clothing tab and this punched tab and a little fabric and a little chenille tab. Love this washi tape. Someone's going to ask me where I got that from, and I can't remember. I will try to look that up. I got that last year. And then this is the bookmark for this journal. And last in that group of 5 is this one with lots of bright greens and pinks and yellows. And this also has that Paige Taylor Evans paper in it. And I did the sewing pattern direction papers different in all the journals. So some of them pull out. One of them I have made into a pocket. So I did different things with those in each journal. I love this vintage paper. I think I only had a couple sheets of that and I've used it all. I really like that. It has a nice texture, almost like construction paper texture. Doing these videos when I do all 10 journals at one time is challenging because I run out of things to talk about. I've told you before, I'm not a big talker, so that is a very big challenge for me on doing these videos. So I guess that's where music comes in handy. I love this paper here. I think that's so cute, the little goats. Amy, this made me think of you, and I think you'll know who I'm talking about when I say Amy. One of my friends has goats on her little farm, and that paper made me think of her. That was from the Heidi Golden Book, Little Golden Book. And then that is the bookmark for this book. Okay, so those are the fully decorated ones, and I already flipped through this one. This was the first one that I showed. So let me share with you. And this one, on the cover, there was some whiteout tape on something that had been written there, so I just covered it with the sticker and washi. So some of these may look a little different now that I've fussed with them a little bit more since I put up my original pictures of them. You might notice the covers look a little bit different here and there because I usually fool with them and keep adding things to them before I actually put them in my shop. So sometimes they'll change a little bit. So this one also has the same collection as the last one because the covers are very similar and they have the same floral fabrics. I just thought the colors went so well with the covers. And so I used the same paper in this one as well. And this paper is, I think, Simple Stories. No, I will find out and put it in the description box. I think it is Simple Stories, but I can't remember the name of the collection. But I love this paper. It's nice and bright. Yeah, this is a fold out. And I thought this paper was really fun, besides it being a nod to the fact that we're using a sewing pattern envelope for the cover. And I like adding some little like nods to sewing in these journals. But I think they make fun backgrounds. You know, you can just add things on top, photos or journaling cards, and they make a neat backdrop. And of course, you can always journal right in the spaces. I've seen people do that too, and that looks really neat, kind of eclectic. There's the postcard for this journal. So every once in a while I like to ask what you guys prefer. And it's been a little while since I've asked, and I have some more followers now on my Instagram anyway, and I'm wondering if you like the fully decorated ones, the ones that have like the ribbon trims and things on them, or would you rather have something that costs a little less and has less detail in it? I'm curious what your preference is, so I would love for you to share that in the comments below if you'd like. You know, I'm open to any suggestions. Some people like the fact that there's a lot of decoration. They don't have to do a whole lot themselves. They just want to open it up and start using it. Plus, they just love like the vintage trims and the things that they don't have to go and search for themselves. Because that takes a lot of time and coordinating everything so it looks nice. It takes a lot of time. But maybe you're the type that likes to do that. And I know there's probably both. The last time I did a poll, it was about half and half. Actually, there was more people that liked the fully decorated ones, but there was still a good number that liked the more simpler ones. So I may always offer both, but I'm trying to streamline my process a little bit, and I'd like to be able to just put journals in my shop on a regular, more consistent basis and not just do collections. I think the reason why I have been doing them as collections up until now is that it's more efficient for me to work on more than one versus doing, one and then putting it in my shop and then working on another one. If I'm gathering supplies for one, I might as well gather supplies for multiple ones. So then I start working on them all and then I list them all at the same time. But I'm going to try just listing things on a more regular basis and kind of play with that. So trying to decide where I'm going to go with that as far as, which style to do. The more decorated ones, simpler ones. Yeah. So I would love to hear your feedback. So this notebook, if you saw my video, like I mentioned on my IGTV channel, this is the envelope that I showed going from a tattered envelope to a Kittydori cover. And because this one, I needed to cut quite a bit off because it was so damaged. This one is a little bit shorter than some of the other ones. Just a little bit. Yeah, there's not much difference at all. And it's about the same. Actually, that one's a little bit wider. So they all vary slightly, but they are about an A5 size or a standard wide, which is the true size of an A5 is a 5.5 by 8.25. And so all of them are within about a 1/4 inch of that or so, but this one is probably the shortest one, and this is a little bit less than 8 inches. But all of my notebooks fit inside of a traveler's notebook cover. I should show a video sometime and show you how they look inside of a cover, but they fit really nicely in a cover too. But they can also be standalone for sure, especially because these are bigger notebooks. Like I said, they're 88 pages, so you can use this as a standalone notebook, and it has the tie closure. But certainly if you like the look of them in a cover, or you want to put multiple notebooks in a cover together, they will definitely fit in that. So this notebook uses the Maggie Holmes papers from her Carousel collection. And actually this one is not Carousel. This one was from Bloom, I think, the pink gingham. So it's a little mix, but it's all Maggie Holmes. I love that little tuck spot card there. Pokey little puppy. So like I said, this one has almost the same amount of vintage ephemera. It has a few fewer pieces, but that is part of the cost difference between the two styles. And this one, I actually closed up the bottom and made this a pocket. So this side of the sewing directions is a little pocket. This paper is just amazing from this book. Everything is still so bright. I mean, the book is over 30, 40 years old and still so bright. Okay, so there's that journal. We have 2 more to do. This one is my blue and green ladies. And this paper in this book is from October afternoon. So back in my archives. And if there's a certain kind of paper that you really love to see in junk journals, excuse me, let me know. I try to use a variety from children's books and cookbooks and what else? Like, what would I call them? Like vintage, like the nonfiction kind of books. I use some from my binders. So yeah, if there's a particular kind of paper that you really love to see in books, let me know. I can try to include more of that. Ledger paper, obviously, for journaling on is awesome. I also like including some journaling paper that I print out on this really nice, smooth 32-pound paper. That feels really nice. And it kind of breaks up the colors and the darkness that sometimes the vintage pages have. So it's just like some little pops of brightness that I like to throw in there too. Okay, last one. And the back of that one. Kept this one really simple. This sewing pattern envelope was in really, really good shape. Just really clean and smooth. So I kind of wanted to preserve that. And this paper collection, oh boy, I really do not remember this one either. I'm going to look all this up and I'll have everything in the description. I do not remember. I don't even remember the manufacturer. Usually I at least remember the manufacturer, maybe not the collection. But I love the brights and the pinks. And that was the last one. So as I said, these will all be in my shop this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Take care. I'll see you soon.